Today we're going to try out the new Bose fence extender. This is not a sponsored video. I purchased these products with my own money. This will be a true statement. So I've watched some other videos where they say this is just amazing. Maybe it is, but we're going to go over all that, and if there's anything here I don't like, I'm not going to be afraid to tell you so, because they didn't pay me to do this. I've been wanting to get this for quite some time, but the 46-inch extender has been out of stock. So it finally came back in stock about a week ago. I ordered it. I have not used any of this stuff yet, so we're going to make some cuts with everything in place. We'll go through everything that I've got here. I've ordered pretty much everything that they had. So I've got the dual feather blocks on the fence itself. I've got the feather block here. I bought their push stick, which I kind of already like because of the length of it and the fact that it's rubber, or it's a hard rubber, but I think that if it comes in contact with the saw blade, it'll be a much more forgiving contact than what can sometimes happen with a wooden push stick. I don't know if you've ever touched the blade with one and have it like kind of kick out on you, but they can. So I like the fact that this will cut easier with the blade and there won't be any resistance there. It should just push right through. At any rate, let's go over this thing real quick, and then we're going to cut some wood. I'll show you how everything mounts on and how the fence slides. I did kind of slide the fence back and forth to see how that worked, and I'm pretty happy with how the fence slides anyway. So let's get into this. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Deerdorf, and this is Detroit DIY. This isn't the only length fence that's available. They also have a 24-inch, and they have a 36-inch, and then this 46-inch. And the reason I really wanted this 46-inch is because they do have available for a separate purchase these outfeed supports, infeed or outfeed, and you can shift this fence in any way you want to, which we'll take a look at in a little bit here. So you can move both of these out to the outfeed, or you could move them both to the infeed, however you may want to do it. But we'll dig into that right here in a few minutes. Let's just kind of take a look at everything that's here. On this front side of the fence we have a T-track, which is nice because this is where we can mount our feather boards up to and adjust them where we want. And the nice thing about these feather boards is the fact that you can use two of them. You don't have to worry about where they're at in conjunction to the blade, because they're not putting any side pressure, they're putting down pressure. And the down pressure is nice and helps you control the board as you're pushing it through, so that you don't get any, it helps to reduce a kickback or an ejection. The problem with them is, and with every feather board unfortunately that's mounted to the fence, is when you try to make a thin cut. And of course, if you watched last week's video, you saw the thin strip jig that I showed to alleviate that. But once you get about 2 inches away, now they're in your way to try and feed the material through, if you see what I'm saying. Everything here just sticks out too far. And it's nice that they have big knobs that you can get a hold of. But I wish there was a way where all of this could be on the back side of the fence over here instead of on the front side. That's for every feather block system that there is. And you know, that'd be pretty tough to do and still get the ability to adjust it where you want it. I fully understand that. But once you get down to about 2.5 or 3 inches, it gets really hard to use these feather blocks. And unfortunately, that's kind of where you would really want them. But they're just in your way. You could use one a little further back and, you know, still get your cut complete before you had to turn your saw off. So if this one was out of the way, we're clear of the blade, we could turn the saw off and hold it right there. And this would still help prevent any kickback, and it'll hold you a nice down pressure on the board without this one in the way. I'll have to say too, these are the first feather boards that I've ever purchased. I've always made my own feather boards, so I kind of went out on a limb here to give these a try. I hope they last a long time. But the other thing that I kind of like is these rubber pieces are all replaceable. So that's nice. The plastic body should last a long time. If you wear any of these out or break them off, you can replace them, but I'm still hopeful that it has a long life. This featherboard here is kind of a different type of a setup for the T-slot. It has this little bar in the back of it, and these are beveled on either side of this, so as you tighten it up, it spreads these out and locks them into your T-slot, which is really nice. It's very adjustable. I like that. I like the fact that it's easy to set into place. You're not trying to feed through your T-slot, your miter slot right here, to get a bolt into the T. It's kind of a pain over here. So I kind of like that fact of the setup, that it just sits in there and clamps into place. The fence extender itself is clamped to my fence using these clamps. I also purchased these from Bo. I'm pretty sure a dovetail clamp would work in here. I don't see why it wouldn't. But they give you plenty of options for different places to clamp this. I opted just to get 2 clamps. I like the fact that it looks pretty straight. I don't see any gappage here. When I pushed it up against before I even clamped it, it looked really nice and tight, which is good. That means we have some quality construction in the straightness of this thing. It's not all over the place, because it definitely laid right up against my fence really nice. So, and this makes it also very versatile for adjusting. If you wanted more outfeed, you could have more outfeed. If you wanted more infeed, you could have more infeed. So I really like that about it too. One of my biggest concerns would be, would it slide nicely attached to my fence, or was there going to be a lot of drag and make it hard to move? But as you can see, there's not really any drag at all. It slides nicely. And the reason for that is they put some little rubber sliders down here on the bottom of it. We'll take a look at them in a minute. The infeed and outfeed support uses 2 different T-track slots to hold it into place. So the back of the fence is very slotted up. We've got another T-slot right here. I'm not exactly sure what that's for. Maybe they have something else up and coming. You cannot really flip the fence around and use it the other way, because of the way that these notches are designed to clamp this fence to your fence. So maybe there's something coming in the future for there. Maybe a different, like a tall jig or something like that for cutting boards on the upright. But that's kind of how this locks in, is through those T-slots. The other thing that I kind of like about it, I don't know that I would ever use it, is it's notched out right here, or it's set up for you to put a 2x4 right here for support. So if you extended this thing way off the back or way off the front of your saw, you could use a 2x4 for support right here, and then they give you a place to put a screw in it just to kind of hold everything together. I do kind of like that about it. I'm glad they thought about that and put it in there. So there is one thing that I've already run into putting it together, so we'll touch on that right here in a second. These feed supports came 2 in a pack, and of course you get the 6 T-bolts and you get 6 thumb screws. However, this thumb screw has an issue. It'll thread on slightly, but then it just gets hard and stops. So there's an issue with this thumb screw. I'm not very thrilled about that. I think that maybe for what this stuff costs, they could have a little more quality control on that. I will be sending them an email and see if I can't get that taken care of. So one of my feed supports, this one here, is missing this hardware that it should have on the back of it currently. So a little bit of a bummer there, but we'll get it taken care of, I hope. I have a piece of 3/4 inch material sitting here in my saw, and we're just going to go ahead and get these featherboards set up. Now, you don't want to put a bunch of down pressure on them. There's no reason to. So just a little bit of down pressure on any featherboard that you use. It's going to be just a little bit of down pressure. Now, what I kind of think I don't like about these is the fact that there's only one screw, and I have to wonder how easy they may want to tilt if things get in a little bit of a bind. I like this 2 screw setup better, like on this one. Kind of wish these were the same, but maybe they know something I don't. I'm not sure. So at this point in time, these featherboards should have a hold of this board, and if that's the case, I should not be able to pull it backwards without basically tipping the saw over. It will, but it's very resistant, and maybe with some use, it's binding up tighter and tighter the more I pull it, which is good. That's what you want. That's what helps stop the kickback from happening and gives you that nice down pressure on the board, but you don't want it so tight against them that you can't feed it through the way that you're supposed to. So at this point in time, I'm pretty happy with how they feel. There's a slight amount of drag, but it's not so much that it hinders you or it's going to make it crazy for you to try and feed the board through. So I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and get set up on this other featherboard. This featherboard is really big. I'm not sure how I feel about that at this point in time just yet, but it's going to allow me to, well, it's going to force me to use it almost all the way to the edge of my saw. My table's kind of small. This is a job site saw, so this may be just about the largest featherboard I could use. I'm good right here, but the more I raise my blade up, I might have to push it off the edge just a little bit if I was cutting a thicker piece of material where this side of the blade is protruding more. I would want to back this off a little more than what it is right now. So we'll just get this set up to take an inch or so off of it. I'm kind of right on my miter slot, so it's on this miter slot on the inside here, so it's causing me a little bit of a pain with the sliding the board in. I'm happy with that. We'll just make us a little cut through there. We'll get this one set up. Now the same thing, just a slight amount of in pressure. There's no reason to push them in there super tight. Now this is going to help you stay nice and tight against the fence as you make your cut, and these are going to help provide the down pressure. All 3 of them are going to help prevent the board from coming back at you, which is nice because that is, I mean, I can pull it out, but it's locked in there pretty tight. With the wood feather boards that I make myself, I kind of like them, they lock it in there, where, like I say, maybe with a little time, these will lock in a little bit better once you get them broke in, and you know, I don't know. So they become resistant. It's not stopping it, but they become resistant. Let's go ahead and cut this off and see how smooth everything pushes through and how much I like these featherboards. So this is where that outfeed support comes in nice. I have a roller stand that I typically use for the longer boards when I'm cutting them for outfeed support, so that I don't have to try and hold it in place while I'm turning off the saw. So So I do like that outfeed support. Typically I lay my push stick on this other side of the saw, keep this section of the table clean, nothing laying here. And what I just discovered is these clamps sticking out here kind of got in my way of picking it up. So I'm going to have to find a different way to set it over here, maybe on top of the fence or something like that where I feel good about it. But I didn't like the fact that those were sticking out like they are. Didn't think about it till I just went to grab this, but that's nothing going to be too hard to work around, I don't think, or get used to. It was a little bit more resistant than I had hoped for, pushing it through with these feather blocks. And like I say, maybe in time they're going to loosen up some. And you know, feather blocks keep you safe. Irregardless, they keep you safe. It didn't make it so hard to push through that it felt like it was going through choppy. I like to push my wood through the saw smooth. I don't want it to be choppy or jerky. I just don't feel like I have the control over it that I want to. These are kind of stiff right now, and I'm thinking maybe the more they get used, they'll kind of loosen up a little bit. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. So we'll have to see. That's going to take some time to tell. So the push stick is kind of the other thing that I was excited about, that I liked, is because this pops off. You can replace it if you need to, and you can also replace these tips. It's reversible, so that's good. I get 2 uses out of each one. I bought the little replacement pack, so I'm hoping that these 3 tips last me a long time. I don't often have contact with the blade with the push stick, but sometimes I do. I've had it happen. So and sometimes maybe you're going to do it on purpose. You're cutting a little thinner strip than what this is going to allow, and the blade's going to graze part of it off. It happens. So the nice thing is they're replaceable, and you can sacrifice them if you need to get that thinner strip cut. I'm going to pop the fence off of here real quick just to show you those runners that are underneath of it. And I do like the fact that it moves easy. I like the whole idea of everything here. I'm not positive on these featherboards yet. That's going to take a little time, will tell on them. I have some stuff that I'm getting ready, some hardwoods that I want to cut. Some of them are going to go through the planer first, but then they're going to get jointed on here. So, and I may be using a sled to joint them, or I may be using this longer fence. I'm not exactly sure, but this does come on and off the saw easy, which I like. And then these are the little rubber pads that I was talking about to help it slide easier on the table. They're not rubber, they're some type of a plastic or a Teflon. They slide very nice, and they're slidable in here, so you can adjust them to get these more on your table instead of off. So I do like that about it, and I like the fact that it slides easy. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with what I've got here. It's going to take a little time. You know, I can't tell you today if I'm happy with these featherboards or not, but I'm going to use them, and I'm going to see if they don't lighten up a little bit and maybe turn into something that I like a little bit more. They just seem a little resistant. Maybe there's too much material rubbing on the board here. I'm not sure. Time will tell on that. Alright, I will say I've got about 450 bucks in everything that you see here. I wish I could say that, you know, I think it was a 450 bucks well spent. A little bit more time will tell me whether it is. The fence itself, I think, is what I'm most excited about in these in-feed and out-feed tables. And I do like this push stick. So, like I said, the featherboards, I'm not sure, I'm up in the air about them. I will get a hold of Bo and see how well they respond to replacing that thumb screw that seems to have an issue. I will do a follow-up on that. You'll be seeing this a lot more on my table saw. We do have some projects coming up where I'm going to be using this. So you'll be seeing it on there. And I'm going to give it the run through, and I'll just kind of drop in here and there how I feel about this thing, and whether I'm liking it a lot or not. I will put links down in the description for everything that we used here today. I'll also put it in for the other two fences, the 24 and the 36, in case anyone's interested in them. I wish they would make a bundle where I could buy my fence, my featherboards, my outfeed supports, and a push stick or something, and these clamps all in one bundle. Maybe knock a few bucks off. I think that'd be nice, but you don't seem to be able to find many bundles like that. So look in the description, all the links will be there, and if you want to pick any of this stuff up for yourself, it'd be a great way to do it. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider doing so. And remember to always respect the power of your power tools. We'll see you soon.